Now, one of the United Kingdom's treasured crime and thriller novelists is visiting the country. Peter James has written novels such as Dead Like You, Dead Man's Grip and Not Dead Yet, which went straight on to the Sunday Times bestseller list. His novels have also sold over 14 million copies worldwide. It's absolutely amazing, and he just doesn't stop pumping them out. We've got him in studio with us. The author, Peter James, is with us now. Good to have you. Welcome to South Africa.
Thank you. It's a real joy to be back here. I was last in Joburg in 2005.
Oh, were you? So it's a big change. I mean, we've had the World Cup since then, so there's been a lot of development. Have you noticed a lot of change in Joburg?
Yeah, a huge amount of construction. But
yeah.
I love being here. I find it such a friendly country. You know, even I flew from Cape Town to here and getting on the plane, trying to put my case up on the luggage rack. In England, everybody barges past you.
Yes.
Here they wait.
That is a big deal. That is a big deal, that people actually do wait for you. But we could compare countries, but let's not do that. I want to talk about you. You're here participating, well, obviously promoting your book and also participating in the Bloody Book Week, which is always a highlight on South African calendars.
Yeah, it's a terrific festival. And yeah, I'm here sort of launching Want You Dead here in South Africa. But Bloody Book Week is brilliant fun. I mean, it's just wall-to-wall events.
And a whole bunch of crime writers. What is the world of a crime writer like?
Well, everybody thinks we're dark and mysterious people.
That's my views as well.
A lot of people, when they meet me for the first time, say, "Oh, you're quite normal." I think every writer is different. My world is that I'm a great believer in research, and in all of my writing, I try to understand the perspective of the victim, the perspective of the perpetrator, and the perspective of the police. And I very much immerse myself in police culture. For the last 20 years, I've been going out on a regular basis with the police in Sussex in England, where I live in particular, also in the Met, but in other forces around the world, like New York and Germany, because I find their world, they look at the world differently. And they have a kind of take on life that I find fascinating, and I think to write police officers convincingly, you've got to know and understand them.
Absolutely, yeah. So you go out with them. I know you were telling me some instances where they'll call you up and say, "We're going on a story, do you want to come with?" And you'll go and you'll see what unfolds there, and that kind of is how you pick up storylines.
Yeah, I mean, Want You Dead came out of two different areas. One was almost every time I go out with the police on a patrol, you end up at what they call a domestic. I went to one recently, for example, where a 7-year-old girl phoned the police and said, "Mummy and Daddy are killing each other." We arrived there, the father's got half his lip hanging off, she's got 2 black eyes and a bleeding nose. And what was it about? Well, in the husband's words, "I was going to barbecue the beef, but the bitch put it in the oven." And you think, what? And I wanted to, another time, 2 years back, I remember going to this very nice middle-class house in Brighton, and this 45-year-old cultured woman phoned the police saying her boyfriend had just put dog feces in her mouth.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the 3rd time this had happened. And I wanted to write about this, but in the context of a thriller, because I write thrillers. And then I came across an extraordinary stalking story that happened in Brighton about 3 years ago. It was a woman doctor joined a dating agency. I met a guy who was Canadian, Asian expat, living in London, working as a banker. And he seemed idyllic. He had this wonderful past, this beautiful Russian girlfriend he'd lived with in Toronto, this beautiful blonde in California. And they started going out. And every time he came to take her out, he'd leave something in her house, like he was moving in by stealth. He'd leave a handkerchief or a pair of socks. Yeah. And then he turned up with a £5,000 engagement ring. And her mother was just not comfortable with him and hired a private detective and discovered his entire past was a tissue of lies. He had a 3.5-year jail sentence for violence against a woman in America. They found this Russian model. Wow. And she said, I didn't go out with this guy. I met him in the street. He asked to have a photo taken with me. Yeah. And she kicked him out. And he then rented a flat overlooking hers and began to stalk her. And he tried to set fire to the parents' house and started this campaign against her. And that gave me the inspiration for the journey was to become Want You Dead.
That's absolutely incredible. So what we're reading in your books, I mean, they're obviously fiction, but I mean, these are triggered by real life events that you've seen, you've heard about, you've been to, you've experienced. And I mean, that takes a whole new spin, because a lot of the times people are thinking, where do you come up with this stuff? But the reality, it is around us. It's happening every single day in our lives.
Yeah, I don't think as a crime writer I could ever come up with something that is as horrific as what happens in daily life.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, I think man's inhumanity to man still goes on. And I like to write about issues. I mean, I've taken the issue of stalking, I've taken the issue of the world of organ trafficking in a previous novel which was called Dead Tomorrow. I like to write about I like to write the kind of books that I like to read. And I think that when we read, we don't just want to read a great story, we actually want to learn something about the world in which we live.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I try to reflect on all the experiences. Things don't always work out. They're quite, you know, when you go out with the police, things go wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember I was on a raid recently, and I arrived I was doing a 12-hour shift, and I get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the police detective said to me, we just had a tip-off, there's a 5 times wanted armed robber in a flat, and we're going to go and arrest him, do you want to come with us? And I said, please. He said, just be careful when we go in case he shoots. And I said, are we wearing bulletproof? And he said, no, he's got a 5th floor apartment, he can see everything, and we don't want to look bulked up, we want to take him by surprise.
Yeah.
So we get there, and the dog unit come, and dog handlers go, and they cover the back and the side entrance, and then the heavy guys pile out of their van, and they've already got the key to the front door of the block from the caretaker earlier that day, and they said, are you coming in with us? And I said, please. And they said, just be careful, keep clear of the door in case he shoots. I said, that's twice, thank you. And then one of them says, you got the key, Stan? And he says, oh, I thought you've got it, Fred. And he goes, oh, bugger, I left it at my office.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then?
And then so they start pressing all the entry phone buzzers, and the little old lady says, hello?
Oh my
And they
gosh.
said FedEx delivery.
Oh, you're joking.
Yeah.
And then they went in that way.
And then we go up the stairs, along the corridor, and they knock on the door, no answer. Then they ring the bell, no answer. So they put the door in, this guy leaps out at them. They're wearing visors. He rams their visors up, jams his fingers into their eyes, bites one on the nose and hangs on with his teeth. And they throw him on the ground, and he lies there and says, you bastards. He said, I hope you fixed my door. Last time we did this, I got burgled afterwards.
Oh my goodness. Can you stay for a bit? Can we just take a quick break? We just got to pay our bills, and then we'll just continue having a little bit of a conversation.
Be delighted to.
I'm loving this. All right, let's take a break. I hope you're enjoying it. If you've got any questions, please feel free. I just hope you're enjoying it. It's like we're reading a novel here on Morning Live. This is unbelievable. Stay tuned. Our guest staying with us after the break, Peter James. Stay tuned.